1059 and worldwide at DAZN1059.com.
All right. Here we go. It's a Reaction Monday here with you today in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. That's your hometown heroes. Yeah, buddy. All right, get on in here. Whatever you want to get into is cool with me today. I got an idea what some of y'all want to talk about. I think, though, I should probably start with, okay, first, point of order. Hey to you. If you're on the live stream, Facebook or YouTube, this is a live show, or X out there, formerly Twitter, feel free to type in a comment, post it, and then I'll see it all in one nice, neat column. We can pop it up on the screen and be a part of the show that way. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing Sausage text line. Country Pleasing Sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It's the best. Hands down. The number to text the show, 885-3776. I will repeat that later. For those watching the live stream, it's scrolling right down here on the bottom of the screen. And you can also call me. That way I get to hear your voice, which is always fun. I get tired of hearing my own voice. So call us on the Junction phone line, fueled by Prince Oil Company. They've been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. The number to call is 897-1059. That's a 601 number, 897-1059. First up, right out of the gate, the winners of the weekend. The winners of the weekend. Wyatt's weekend winners. I just thought of that. Wyatt's weekend winners. First up, roll time. Roll. Man, was I ever wrong about that. And they didn't just go to Georgia and win. I'm talking went in there with a mop and cleaned the house. So I got to start off there because, you know, we've had a lot of picks. I've had a lot of picks here, games and stuff. I've been right about the first 4 weeks. I could not have been more wrong about the way I picked that Alabama and Georgia game.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Couldn't have been more wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
It's true. It's true. Let's see. Wyatt's weekend winners. Is that what I said? Wyatt's weekend winners. Let's turn this into a thing. I feel like WWW is probably already trademarked, but Wyatt's weekend winners. Jackson State with a win over Southern. Come on. Now, Southern may not be worth a flip, but Jackson State is good. And so congrats to Jackson State on the win. I saw where the quarterback had a big day. Running back had another really big day running the ball. So they win. And let's see, who else can we throw in there? Wyatt's weekend winners. What do you think about that? Out of nowhere. Oh, I'll tell you who else. Jackson Dart. Y'all better get used to him. He's going to be the Giants quarterback for about a decade. And be like what happened with Dak in Dallas. Except Dak wasn't a first rounder. Speaking of that, have y'all ever watched, a 3.5 hour, 4 hour game with overtime only to see it end in a stupid tie? Good night. Good night. And, let's see. We can get into whatever you want to get into. Whatever you'd like to get into on this Reaction Monday is cool with me, and I'm going to waste no time coming right to your comments. You ready? You ready? All right. Oh, one more. I'm sorry. Some of y'all are going to feel like this is burying the lead here. I have to go back. We got one more winner. Let me just, and I want to say it this way. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone happier to see Ole Miss beat LSU than our friend Prince Philip, the Godfather Prince, the Prince of Neshoba County, from the Junction Deli and Prince Oil Company, than Philip Prince celebrating Ole Miss's win over LSU. He sent me, I didn't get to see any of their game, okay, but I saw the score. And so I don't really know how it happened, but here we are on a Monday, and Philip sent me a video today. He's having a lot of fun at LSU fans' expense. Let me just tell you that. I had no idea, none, that Philip hated LSU that bad. I had no idea. He sent me a video. He even tagged Lane Kiffin, it looks like, in his Twitter video that he sent me. Hey, Philip, you think he watched it? Yeah, in the State Tennessee game, I mean, that was a heck of a game, overtime deal, and look, I felt like State absolutely fought its tail off and played well and just didn't make enough plays. What do you think the difference was in the game? Like, I know it's kind of open-ended, but how would you answer that? If somebody goes, okay, well, you go to overtime, one team scores, the other one didn't, but what was the difference in the game? How would you answer that? I will tell you that I think the difference in the game was Tennessee's defensive front. They had 5 sacks and double-digit tackles for loss in one game. Not to mention one of those sacks was so brutal, it knocks the ball right out, and rightfully so, it would against anybody, and they pick it up. You know why they were able to pick it up so quickly and score on that sack? Because the other defensive end beat State's other offensive tackle so badly that he was right there. It's like if one of them doesn't hit him, the other one is. And so, that to me was the difference, was the consistent sacks of Blake Shapen throughout the game. And in spite of all that, kid still stood in there and showed some toughness to me, made some plays, still had a chance. Even right down to the last play, had a chance to tie it up. So I'd be curious what your thoughts are. All right, let's get into it. Reaction Monday here on the live stream on YouTube. It's JS290. He says Cowboys number 57 and number 35 are slow and can't really tackle. Well, I don't know who they are, but they are one of the worst. And look, y'all, this is not a taking an opportunity to pat myself on the back. What I'm telling you is you could watch their team in the preseason, and it was obvious how bad their defense was. Because we talked about it here on the show. Like after 1 or 2 preseason games, didn't we? Said, man, their defense, it's pitiful. It's the worst defense in the NFL, and I don't think it's close, actually. Do you realize that I saw the stat today? The Cowboys have the number 1 offense in the NFL, and the dead last defense in the NFL. Can't stop anything. Gene on Facebook regarding Mississippi State says this team has grit and I'm proud of them. And Jared on Facebook says Saturday hurt. That State loss in overtime hurt his feelings. It was so close. Brad says on Facebook 2 touchdowns off turnovers was the difference in the game. And I think you're probably right. Okay, and over to the text line, the country pleasing text line. Yes, I even have asked multiple people, and I even put it out on Twitter. I didn't get a response. I'm trying to find out what West Point High School's fight song is. To whoever you are, whomever you are, unnamed texter says, how about West Point Green Wave over Tupelo Friday night? They absolutely are on the weekend winners list. West Point going to Tupelo and winning on the blue turf and beating the 7A state champs. And West Point head coach Brett Morgan, after winning the state championship last year, trying to win another West Point is just incredible. Just incredible what they're doing. And that win Friday night, backs that up. Airborne Dog, the first to text the show today on the Country Pleasing text line, says, "Hey, Matt." He says, "I let everyone down. I caught a cramp in my toes at the end of the game. I've started training and will be better prepared for the rest of the season. This loss is on me. Hail State, it won't happen again." Yeah. All right, Airborne, get your act together. Hog Jowl texts the show. He says, "What happens concerning hog football is yet to be seen. But like you, Matt, I now have a homecoming queen. Congratulations to my lovely granddaughter, Posey Farron. She is the homecoming queen at Atkins High School. Hey!" If that won't bring out a round of applause, what will? Congrats to Hog Jowl's granddaughter. 2025 homecoming queen. Yeah, Denzel regarding Arkansas, he texts me and he says, "Welcome back, Bobby P." And there's the announcement that he's the interim coach, and then there's that picture of him in the neck brace. You talk about a big, fat liar back then. And anybody who's ever seen anybody that got beat up knew when you looked at him that he'd been beaten up. He didn't have no motorcycle wreck. You don't look like that after a motorcycle wreck. You look like that after somebody beats you up and rubs your face in the dirt. That's what you look like. But anyway, welcome back, Bobby. Great, the great Gregory Alenisikoff has a song called Second Chances. Has that line, "If it weren't for second chances, we'd all be alone." CB95 texts and says, "I know Lebby is a good coach so far, but can you please take a minute to explain why the defense was put on the field first in overtime and they had just come off the field?" Well, I think what it is generally people want to go first on defense in overtime so that you know exactly how you need to call your offense, right? So if the other team has scored a touchdown, then you're playing with 4-down stuff. There's no such thing as, and it affects how you call second and third down depending on down and distance. It's just you have more data points and more information on what's got to happen if you've already let them have their offensive possession. Does that make sense? So I think that's pretty standard. And honestly, CB95, the play they scored on had nothing to do with really them being tired. And you go back and watch the play. I posted a film study video. It's really long, but sometime today, tonight, this week, if you have a chance, it's on the YouTube channel. I just got it up this morning. Took me a while to get it done. That play that Tennessee scored on in overtime is on there. One thing it looked like to me was, unfortunately, Tennessee went with a bit of, like a heavy formation, type of heavy, like 2 tight end H-backs. Balanced, though, so you didn't know kind of which way they're going to run it. They're on left hash, and so the boundaries to their left. And State rotated at the last minute sort of its defensive look to the field away from where they ran the ball. So, Tennessee just had a perfect play call for what State was running defensively, and then they blocked it perfectly. There was one missed tackle, and it was a kid who'd made a bunch of plays in the game. He just missed one tackle there, and then there's nobody else left. So they had the right call at the right time. It didn't really have anything to do with, I think, being tired. Unnamed texter says, "I know the score ended with our dogs losing, but it was a win the way they played and stayed in the fight. Hats off to the players and coaches." Yeah, and I think it's okay to say that, but you do have to be careful with, the moral victory thing when you're in the pay-for-play era. And, hey, and speaking of that, too, now on the NFL level, Beaver and I were talking earlier, and he had a great point about this whole finishing in a tie in the NFL. How stupid is that? I understand. Okay, you got 17 games, you expanded it. But are you kidding me? Well, we've got 30 and 40 and $50 million quarterbacks and all this kind of stuff, and we're worried about them playing a few extra minutes of football so that we can figure out who won the stupid game. I mean, come on. Robbie texted the show and said, "What's up, Matt? Y'all played of a game. We suck, War Eagle." Yeah, I mean, it was much lower scoring than I thought. What did the final end up? It ended up 16-10. It was 13-3 at halftime. And their touchdown didn't come until late in the fourth. I had picked A&M 27-24. See what I mean? So I gave both offenses a lot more credit than they actually maybe should have gotten. NWR Mike texted the show, said, it's pathetic all the professors, et cetera, that sell their tickets to Tennessee fans. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder about that. It does happen a lot at State, at those football games in recent years. The faculty, they get those tickets, and they sure will sell them to the other fan bases. I guess put them on the secondary market. But some of that has to do also, Mike, I mean, I'm not making an excuse for it at all. I agree with you. But some of it does have to do with the visiting teams so badly wanting to attend their team's game at State that, they got a lot of fans that want to see them, and they'll get a ticket and they'll go pay the money and sit over there. So some of it has to do with demand for the other fan bases too. MSU 1980 texted and said, Matt, this is a picture of Warren Central's quarterback, Nash Morgan. I know all about Nash. Running for a 47-yard touchdown Friday night against Madison Central. He scored 2 TDs in the game. I was very impressed with his performance. And as you know, son of the head coach, Josh Morgan, who's the brother-in-law, Rob Morgan, said, I heard you mention that you'd be in Vicksburg this weekend on Saturday's broadcast. And I was hoping that you could see Warren Central play. I checked their schedule. Unfortunately, they're off this weekend. Yeah, we're going to go to A&M this weekend, so I'll be traveling too. Yeah, Nash is, tall kid, great kid, really good athlete, runs well. I mean, he can really throw it too. And he's been playing and even maybe starting some games as a freshman. I know he's played for them some at quarterback since he was a freshman. I guess he's a junior now. But he's a big, long, good athlete coming out of a family of athletes. Nash can really play. Nick says on the Country Pleasing text line, the difference in the game was giving them 14 points and leaving your 6'5", 240-pound quarterback on the bench with the ball on the 4-yard line in overtime. And then says, other than that, played better than I expected. Yeah, Nick, maybe certain situations you could use Kamario more. Also, there were a couple of drives in the game where, and I guess it would have been, it could have been fourth quarter. I don't remember the specific time, but I just do remember there was a couple of different offensive drives in the game for State where you basically rode Fluff Bothwell out of your own end of the field. I mean, it's 5 yards, 7 yards, 3 yards, 15 yards, 10 yards. Kid, they couldn't stop him. And you'd get it across midfield and get it around the 40 of Tennessee and start throwing the football and dropping back. And I'm going, you drop back enough, you're going to get hit, first of all, because it's just a matter of time. That's how good a pass rush they have. You can't block them. Later in the game, you're playing without Albert Reese at one tackle, so it also makes the throwing thing. And I know a lot of that is schematically, too, the defense kind of dictating, putting people in the box and saying, you can't run it here. We're not going to let you run it. And I understand some of that, but, I'm sure there's some things they wanted back. But, yeah. Okay, 14 points on the board, 1 on a pick six and 1 on the fumble return. And, the pick six deal, it's early in the game, but if you go back and watch the play, Nick, and it's on the film study too, I mean, I'm not making excuses for it, but you know how the pressure and hitting quarterbacks adds up. I believe Tennessee already had 2 sacks in the game already, early, prior to that play. And then when you watch it, Tennessee runs it's 3rd and 5. Tennessee runs a twist where the shade nose goes across and hits the other guard and ties up the center. Here comes 90 around for Tennessee, and he's not picked up. So Blake's standing there on 3rd and 5. And here, the Waters part, and here comes this big 90 who's running full speed at him. And Blake gives it a little flick and can't extend his arm because he's getting hit as he throws. Now, and it's a difference of 2 feet. You put it in front of him, you probably catch it. You put it 2 feet behind him, it's tipped and it's picked the other way. But the point is, again, it's early pressure and hitting the quarterback. You go back and watch it. Blake had one other option, and that is just to tuck the ball and get on the ground and eat it. because 90 was cleaning his clock as he threw that football on that pick. So, you know, I agree with you, Nick. The difference in the game, 14 points on the board for Tennessee directly off turnovers. But the story of the game, you can tell the whole story of the game just showing hits on State's quarterback. And in big hits. And you got 5 sacks, but that ain't all the hits. It's a whole bunch more hits than that. There's a bunch of throws that Blake's making where he's standing in there, and then just as he gets rid of it, it's bam. It was a tough day to be the quarterback behind that offensive line throwing. And the thing is, in the run game, they blocked it really well for the most part. I mean, there's a bunch of TFLs too, double-digit TFLs and some of those in the run game. But for the most part, they blocked the run game really well. Jason in Flagstaff says, the difference in the game were the 2 turnovers returned for TDs caused by bad pass blocking. Shapen was a minor miracle worker to do anything, and I submit that anyone attacking him should just ring the call button and wait for Tommy. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. It looked bad in person, and then you go back and watch it again, Jason, it's really even worse. I tell you, you had to be one tough cookie to stand in that pocket and make some throws with the kind of protection. You know, it's just consistently inconsistent throughout the entire game for Blake. He was really getting his bell rung. All right. Just getting started on a Reaction Monday. Facebook, YouTube, text messages, all that coming up. We'll keep it rolling right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. That's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links, bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire.
My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C-Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C-Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C-Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C-Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's a whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Ogeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. What we got there? What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roast it right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and true. Magnolia Blend.
59 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. My man Prince Hoops, he was out there on Twitter today, or X, formerly Twitter, and he had this big stuffed tiger, and he was kicking it around and throwing it around, having a good time. And he threw it at somebody in their truck. Is that guy an LSU fan, Prince? Then he tagged Lane Kiffin. He said there's no doubt he watched it. No doubt. Jared said, I think the difference, or at least the biggest swing, this is Jared on Facebook, was the sack, scoop, and score. I agree. Felt like it was the biggest play of the game. It certainly was the biggest play of the fourth quarter. He says, which I don't know how that wasn't targeting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I think, he kind of had his face up. It was like face into the back of the helmet, not necessarily leading with the crown. Maybe that was it. Prince said, how about them Cowboys? I just, after watching all that last night, how can you have the number one offense in the NFL and have the dead last worst by a long shot defense? How does that even happen? I mean, it is organizational malpractice is what it is. Hail State fans said, our offensive and defensive lines, we have guys instead of dudes. Nothing personal. Our guys played hard, just the reality. The defensive front pretty much held its own, right? The deal was not getting enough consistent pressure on their guy. And their guy, Aguilar, he made, 2-3 mistakes in the game where he was kind of forced into mistakes. But a lot of the rest of the time, you couldn't force him into mistakes. And on their fourth quarter scoring drive, he was really good where even made plays where he's getting hit. I felt like State's defensive front guys really played well, and held Tennessee to, 131 yards rushing. So basically right at about 100 yards in 4 quarters rushing and did a pretty nice job up front. But, yeah, State's offensive line was really, really in pass pro and on the edge where you're most vulnerable were really overmatched. And then Albert goes out with an injury and some of that stuff. Steve thought it was big. You couldn't capitalize on the fake punt. Yeah, potentially a big momentum deal right there, and then you go 3 and out after it. That really hurt. Or no, it was the not 3 and out. It was the fumble, and you're in the end zone on the other side. Sven, he's in from Germany. He says, Hail State, everyone. Tennessee didn't win. State lost. That's one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it, I guess. Brad said Isaac Smith being out hurt on the overtime touchdown. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you really hope that he's going to be okay. Prince said Packers played for a tie. Soft organization. Weak. And it's not the NFL's fault. They did play for the tie. Sven says overall, Tennessee did not look like a playoff team, despite the fact Blake had his worst game this year. Says they never could lean on their defense. 8-4, maybe 9-3 for the Vols. No playoffs. That's according to Sven. He didn't think they're going to make the playoffs. And then here, Jared disagreed with me. He said, I disagree on the defensive touchdowns as we converted their turnovers to touchdowns as well. He says the big difference to me fell on not doing anything in the final 2 minutes before overtime. We converted against Arizona State, but didn't against Tennessee. Yeah, because you got it back, minute 20, whatever, kind of a similar situation and couldn't go get it done. Now, Hail State fan threw a stat at me, and I was like, what? Really? He said Auburn had 177 yards of offense and were 0 for 13 on third downs in that game. That is hard to even like wrap your head around, being that bad on offense. All right, especially with a bunch of players, they're making good money to run out there and go 177 yards and 0 for 13. All right, on the country pleasing text line, Fletcher says, Matt, by the second half, we should have been trying to get the ball out a little bit quicker. It seems like Blake's holding the ball a little too long, trying to hit the deep ball. Well, and maybe on a couple, Fletcher, but I went back and watched it too. Like, the fourth quarter deal where he gets hit and fumbled, and all he's throwing is a 10-yard stop at the first down stick that was wide open, and the guy was not even to the point where he's near the spot. Blake's going to throw it before he breaks, and he still got hit before that. There were a bunch of those where it's not about holding the ball. I mean, it's like he's just hanging in there doing what he can do. That 15-play scoring drive early in the game, there was a big third down conversion on a slant to Brennan Thompson. Go back and watch that play. And Blake catches this. I mean, we're talking a slant now that you make 7-8 yards to convert a first down, and as he throws it, he's getting hit in the face and in the back at the same time. Bam! As he throws a slant. Now explain to me how that happens. That's like three-step drop stuff. That's like 1, 2, 3, whap! How do they get there that fast? Maybe you need to change the snap count or something. But the deal was with Blake is there was way too much jailbreak. So, to go in there and go 62%, and lead some scoring drives and only have one turnover. One interception. It's hard to even fault him for that fourth quarter fumble. Anybody in the world is going to fumble you get hit like that quick when you're supposed to have protection on the backside. But, it did happen. But only one interception against that kind of, those kinds of hits on the QB. What were the final numbers? Let's see here. 5 sacks, 11 TFLs. 5 sacks, 11 TFLs. In one ball game. Whew. Goodness gracious. Way too much jailbreak. Somebody said, do you think the last 4 plays of the game for State were good play calls? I don't remember that much about the other. I do remember the last one. Okay, the fourth down play call, you had a 5-man route because the running back was able to release. All right, they went zone coverage. You're down there where it's really hard to throw the ball, so they're in zone coverage. State had 2 deep and 3 along the goal line. 2 deep, 3 along the goal line is your route. 1 deep on the right was a corner into the back corner. They covered it. They dropped zones. They had 1 on top, 1 running underneath. He's totally bracketed. The one on the left side is push up and go to the back line. They had 1 on top of him and 1 underneath. He's bracketed. So the right read is what Blake did, which is you come underneath. And the deal was you had Traore setting up here on the hash a yard deep. He's covered. And I show you that initially in the film study. And then here comes Evans, who he starts on the left hash, but he wants to come to the middle, and in a split second, he's looking to see where Traore is to make sure he's not coming across. So because of that, there's this little pump fake by Blake where he wants to throw it but didn't let it go. If he lets it go right then on time, there's a chance you may drill it in there to Evans. But when he does this and there's a hesitate, that little arm movement, the guy leaves Traore to go run to Evans. He goes ahead and throws it, has to throw it in a hurry, a fastball, and that's where it gets tipped. So, the play call was fine. What it was the hesitation between quarterback and receiver. And the last piece of it was the running back was releasing out of the backfield too, but instead of kind of spacing it out where you got Evans in the middle, Traore on one hash, and maybe the back goes out here where you space it out, he's basically running to the same spot where Evans is, and so it crowded it. So one little hesitation, a little, bringing the ball back and then throwing it, not only drew a defender, but then it forced him to have to throw it really hard to get it in there before the defender got there. And some people are looking at, still shots and film go, oh, well, Traore was wide open. Well, he really wasn't until Blake starts to throw the ball in the middle. He was covered before that. I don't remember the play calls before it, honestly, just to be 100% honest with you. Let's see here. Earl in Madison. Earl, my name is Earl, says Rebs look good. Said, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, fellow Rebel faithful. Let's just get to the Egg Bowl with no more than 2 losses and let that drama play out on Black Friday. Well, I mean, and who's going to beat them? They have a conducive schedule. And they got a good team. And it played out kind of the way we thought it would after talking last week. We didn't think the issue was going to be Ole Miss really scoring on LSU. The issue was going to be, could LSU score on Ole Miss? And they really couldn't. Airborne Dog, he texted and said, with all these coaches either involuntarily leaving, being replaced, backfield, can we please get some offensive guards? There has to be some out there asking for a friend, not shaping. Well, you may be talking tackles. I think that's, guard play has been good. Center has been really good. Cannon Boone, he's been really good. Your issue is protection on the edge, so your tackles, especially just one-on-one edge stuff. They're getting beat too much. And Tennessee's, they're a sack team. They were number 2 in the sacks in the SEC coming in. Possum Neck Joe, hey, Matt, my wife did not believe me when I told her that Tennessee's coach was a quarterback and was a Heisman runner-up. Well, he may not look like it now, but it's the truth. And Joe, how many of us actually do look like we did when we were in college? Really? I mean, we shouldn't expect Heupel to look like he did when he was in college. I hope nobody expects me to. I'll be honest, I look a lot different than I did in college. I feel a lot different than I did in college, too. All right. This is fun. Reaction Monday. We have only scratched the surface on the comments and the text messages we've gotten so far. And so we'll continue to do that when we come back. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The Junction Delis, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the state. I've bought gas just like you at a lot of places that are fueled by Prince Oil Company, and they are really wonderful people. By the way, that brand spanking new Junction Deli, Chevron, right across the highway from Germantown High School. It's in Canton. We say Gluckstadt. Do you realize they and other Junction Delis, they serve country-pleasing sausage over there on the buffet? They don't get much better than that. The Junction and Prince Oil Company. That's what I'm talking about. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do, at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other
at the Zone 105.9.com.
Back with you. All right. Steve said on Facebook, said the announcers said we had a wide open receiver on the goal line. Not really. Steve, you go back and you watch the play over again on that 4th down play, you'll see what I'm saying. Traore's there. Okay. And you got, things are happening in like half seconds. You don't have the benefit of slow motion or pausing it. Things are happening in half seconds. And so you're too deep. You're spreading those 3 guys out on the goal line. Well, really 2, and you're trying to get the back out. The problem is the back sort of running where one of them is. But Traore, the tight end, is actually covered. And that's why Blake came off of him and looked in the middle to throw. And when there's one little hesitation, one little pump fake, and he was still open, barely when he threw it. But that's what drew the defender away from Traore. He was only open once the throw was basically going into the middle. Does that make sense? Where the defender's falling off of him. And what I would tell you, Steve, is I don't know who. It's none of my business. I don't know who it is. I don't know. I have no personal anything about a TV announcer or anything like that. But I will just tell you, Steve, that in today's game, about 97.4% of the time, your TV folks they're missing the mark. You're not actually getting the truth about it is too, and a lot of the television broadcasts of college football, you're actually not getting any analysis, not real analysis. You get a hype man and somebody says, well, he did this and then he scored. I'm like, yeah, well, I just saw that. Tell me what happened. So no, he didn't have a guy wide. You could say, well, he's open once he starts to throw it in the middle and the defender leaves Traore, then, he's open. Well, the problem is I already threw the ball. See what I mean? You can go back and watch it. You can see that. My advice to you would be to everything you hear from a TV quote unquote analyst, just kind of take it with a grain of salt. On most of these games, not all. Not all. Boomer Sooner texted the show, and he says on the Country Pleasing text line, hey, Matt, question regarding the Mississippi State faculty tickets. Do the faculty members have to pay for those tickets or get them at greatly reduced prices? Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know, Boomer Sooner. I don't know. That'd be a question for somebody who either has been a faculty member or no. I just don't know any of that stuff. I don't know. There were a lot of Tennessee fans there, you know, on campus throughout the day, and then, of course, in the stadium. And I can only see the east side, so behind the visiting bench. There were a lot of fans over there in orange. And then some sprinkled in the upper deck and that sort of stuff. There are a lot of Tennessee fans there. Tide Man texted the show, and he says, slept like a baby the last 2 nights. No barking dogs to keep me awake. Just the beautiful sound of the tide rolling in. Man, listen at Tide Man coming in here on a Monday and waxing poetic on the Country Pleasing text line. All right. Flipping it now over to the phone. The Junction phone line, fueled by Prince Oil Company. On line 1, it's More Bully. What's up, More Bully? Happy Monday.
Matthew, it's me. It's me. It's the MOORE. Bully. Turn off what you're doing and turn up your radio, people. It's about to be good. That's just off the cuff.
Is it, or did you write that? Be honest. Did you write that?
No, I just made it up.
Okay, all right. What's up?
It could be made up and written on my windshield, but it's not. Hey, but before I talk about football, I want to tell you I was proud of how the American team came back and never gave up in the Ryder Cup. However, I am highly disappointed in what I can call the one thing that kept them from performing well, and it's called timid putting. They left every putt they hit short. It was ridiculous.
Never up, never in.
Yeah, they were like playing copycat with each other.
Okay. All right.
Let me see if I can leave it a little bit closer and it not go in than you did.
Mm-hmm.
It was pitiful.
Hey, and More
the
Bully
game was pitiful.
And More Bully, I just thank you for getting us on the sports that really matter here on this Monday, and that's Ryder Cup golf.
Correct. Correct. You're very welcome. Now on to football. Let me honk at this person though. Before I had to honk at this person. Never mind. I am really proud of the team that we've assembled this year. Not we. I had nothing to do with it, but the coaching staff has put together and their schemes. And, I was on the phone with somebody Saturday, and we were watching the game. I said, I got to go. We're about to win this game. That's how I felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, Matt. I haven't listened to you yet, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought defense really played well. Actually played well enough to win, and it's weird to say that you look up and they got 40 points after overtime.
Yeah.
But 14 of that, there's 2 touchdowns. The offense just hand to them. It's one thing to turn the ball over and then the offense goes on a drive after the turnover. It's another thing to just, it's a pick six and a fumble that they return into the end zone after a sack. So the 14 point, I just felt like defense played well enough to win. And the offense didn't, primarily because of bad pass protection.
Right.
And it kind of boiled down to that, really. I think that's what it boiled down to.
Yeah, at one point early in the first quarter, I think. It may have been like early second. I put a text out to my Bulldog group that said they have total control over the line.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't do anything to stop them there for at least 2 drives, it looked like.
Yeah.
It was just, man, it was two bad series that I can think of in my head. I'm sure there was more. Well, give me a grade on each side, offense and defense.
Oh, well, let's see. Maybe defensively you get a B. Maybe offensively you get a, I don't know, just a good old-fashioned C. Probably something like that. And see, I think and what I would think you would do is you would say, like Tennessee's defensive front particularly, they're going to get an A. Even though they gave up rush yards, they still, you'll get 5 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. You get an A, So that was the difference in the game.
I agree. But anyway, I have a spark in my eye about this season. I don't know.
Well, sitting there with 4 wins, this is that's it. You got to find 2. This is a year where it's just really about momentum, and if you can win a couple of games and get yourself in a postseason, you're going to feel like there's a little momentum going to next year. So that's kind of where it is.
I think that should be the team's goal right now. Is let's find 2.
There you go.
and play hard.
All
right, Matthew. That was me. Later.
See you. More Bully on the Junction phone line. Robbie, our Auburn fan friend on the Country Pleasing text line, after I read those stats, Auburn had 117 or 100 and something yards of offense, and we're 177 yards of offense, 0 for 13 on third downs. He says, again, Matt, we suck. Let's see. Patches says, who is the dominant team in the SEC? It appears to me a lot of the SEC teams are very close in strength after this weekend. Yeah, I think you're right. And schedule, even though you're 5 weeks in, not everybody's schedule has been quite the same, But even though they got whipped by Florida State, the way Alabama's playing right now, I thought last week we were giving them too much credit for just beating up on a couple of bad teams. But then they went in there and dominated Georgia. I didn't see that coming. So maybe it is Alabama. Bama fan texted the show and says, I thought I had MSU when they were up 34-27. Yeah. You just couldn't, you could probably do a better job controlling the clock too, right? You start considering timeouts, and you had a missed field goal in there earlier in the game, but I don't know. Those things are going to happen from time to time, but also managing timeouts and managing clock and all that kind of stuff. There's some things they can do better. But overall, they're playing their tails off against a really good team. I had an analogy. It just kind of came to mind. I was on the pregame show with the Tennessee radio guys up in the booth before the game, and they were asking about the comparison. And I said, well, it's like Tennessee has already built the race car. Like it's built, and they're in the race. That's where Tennessee is right now. And it still feels like, State is still kind of building their car. They're ordering some parts, waiting for a few to come in, and still building the car. That's just kind of where it feels like it is. And I think there's probably some truth in it. And so, that said, what the coaching staff is putting on the field every week is pretty doggone good. And they're not making any excuses. They don't believe that they're just playing to get in a bowl game, all that. That's just talk for us. But for them, they're doing a good job. Gave themselves a chance to win against a team that, frankly, is better. Tennessee's better than them. How about that? Hour 1 gone. Hour 2 coming up. Back after this.
The all-new iPhone 17 Pro is the ultimate pro. And once you
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, oh, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Whee! Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash and a particular look that I've worked on a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
This is a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment,
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both. Break me off a piece of that. Look at that. know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
Here we go. At the Zone 1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team. Back with you. Y'all get on in here. It's a Reaction Monday. Now, am I putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable there? Am I countrying it up? Reaction. Or is it reaction? It's kind of like police and police. Whatever. You know what I mean. It's a Reaction Monday, so the show is yours. Whatever you want to talk about, it's cool with me. So break out your handy-dandy phone from C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C Spire, customer inspired. Check them out at cspire.com. And text me on the country pleasing text line at 885-3776. Again? Okay. All right, fine. I'll repeat it. 601 number 885-3776. You can also call me on the Junction phone. Junction delis all across the state, fueled by Prince Oil Company since 1960. You can go out there and put some fuel in your gas tank, then walk inside and fuel in your belly from the Junction Deli. Hey, that's coffee, by the way. Hot coffee. High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. Go to highpointroasters.com. What would we do without hot coffee? So get on in here. It's all good. We'll get into whatever you want to get into. Jared says on Facebook. Well, okay, listen up. All right, time out. Jared, I'm going to read it. Everybody listen up. We are 5 weeks in. Mississippi State is 4-1. Their one loss is to top 15 Tennessee in overtime the other night, in which Tennessee, one of the best pass rushes in the country and the best one in the SEC, had 5 sacks, rung Blake Shapen's bell, 11 tackles for loss. But we have a lot of people who seem to think that the problem was Blake Shapen. So let's just go ahead and say that there are people out there who think that Blake Shapen was the reason he lost. Those people do exist. Now, that said, it's okay to be critical of Blake, and not everybody who is critical of this or that is one of those folks who think he's the reason they lost. Okay? All those things are true. But as long as we recognize that it's a bit silly to be 4-1, lose a game in overtime, and in a game where, frankly, you just don't have much time to throw, or else you get decapitated in the backfield on national television. Okay? And in that kind of game, to go 62%, throw you a touchdown, you certainly left some plays out there and gave up some and made a mistake or two. Okay, but he's a tough cookie in my book. Tough. Jared says, I totally agree with you about Blake not having much time and things being in half seconds. But, he says, the art of pump faking has been lost. Blake too often locks in on one option and telegraphs plays badly. That's Jared's take on it. Let's see. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona, text the show, country pleasing text line. He says, by the way, don't look now, but that Arizona State win is looking better every week. He says, they are beat all to pieces and still winning with the quarterback and wide receiver that State shut down. They are cooking folks now. He says, P.S. I have zero patience with this blame the QB stuff anymore. He says, used copies of Football for Dummies is $6 on Amazon. That's all I got to say about that. Mm-hmm. Well, he made some mistakes, sure, in some plays he'd love to have back, but I tell you, he was operating under pretty tough circumstances, getting hit as much as he did. The way he was getting hit, I can just tell you, it's not easy. Blair from Brandon says, how awful were those zebras in the Ole Miss game? They almost made it too obvious, he says. All right, let me see. What were the penalty numbers in the game? 24-19, Ole Miss over LSU. And how about that? Each quarterback, gosh, the QB numbers were about the same except the yards. How about that? It shows you one guy was completing it down the field and one was not. But so Nussmeier went 21 of 34. Trinidad Chambliss went 23 of 39. It was really close within a few attempts and completions of each other. They each had a touchdown. They each had one interception. But Chambliss averaged 8 yards a pop. Nussmeier averaged 5. So he went for less than 200 yards, whereas Chambliss went for a little over 300. Let's see here. Penalties, team stats. Here we go. Doggone. 14. Good grief. Ole Miss had 14 penalties for 109 yards. LSU had 7 for 78. So Ole Miss wins with twice as many penalties as LSU had. The yardage is a good bit different too. So, 30 yards difference. It wasn't, but still 14 penalties still. So Ole Miss had twice as many penalties, had twice as many turnovers. They had 2, and LSU had 1, and still won the game 24-19. How about that? And I'm looking here. So it was a second half comeback deal. So Ole Miss was up big at half. Oh, hey, speaking of that. Okay, so I didn't get to watch the Ole Miss game because we're in the press box there. Ole Miss and LSU had a 2:30 kick. State and Tennessee were not quite an hour later. It was like 3:15, 3:20 when State and Tennessee kicked. So we were already on the radio doing pregame stuff basically when the Ole Miss game started. But here's what I remembered about it. And Annabeth was at home, and I asked her about it later. She was like, yeah, it did. It took forever. We go to a commercial break. State had, I don't know, ever how many minutes left in the first half until half. There was maybe like 7 or 8 minutes until halftime, okay, in the State-Tennessee game. We go to a commercial break. So in the commercial break, I pick up my phone from C Spire, and I start looking through all the SEC scores, and I'm just kind of seeing how other games are going. And I look, and it said Ole Miss and LSU, like whatever the score was, and it said 5 minutes until half. And I refreshed it to see if that was right. And then I was like, it says 5. And then I looked it up again, the live stats. Yeah, they got 5 minutes. So our game started basically an hour later than Ole Miss LSU did. Yet we're fixing to go to halftime at the same time. Explain it. And then somebody, I think it was Annabeth said, oh gosh, it's like constant ads and commercials. Constant. I was like, good grief. You talk about dragging on. That thing was dragging, wasn't it? Let's see. Miko says, Matt, toward the end of the game, State had the ball with 1:51 left. Kind of confusing that Lebby didn't choose to try and go downfield on that drive to give the kicker a shot at winning. Play calling, too conservative. That's from Miko. Didn't like the conservative play calling, he says. Kenny, don't call me Ken, says TV analysis equals what brand cigar they smoke, which D-list celebrity they saw, and what they ate at the tailgate or local restaurant. Right. And then something happens on the field, and as they show the replay of the play, you basically just repeat what the play-by-play man said. Yeah. And here's Fluff Bothwell, and he runs to the right, and then he takes it in for the touchdown. I'm like, that's not, why say that? Like, he just said that. Ronnie texts the show. He says, Matt, I'm proud of what Lebby has done. He will be bowling this year. You got to pick up 2 wins, right? Right? Maybe pick some up. Maybe some winnable games. We'll see. Going to have to get some people healthy. State really got banged up, it seemed like, in that game the other day. Paul says the best teams in the SEC, this is on the Country Please and text line, are Ole Miss and Missouri. You think so? A&M's undefeated. Missouri. What do we know about Missouri? Missouri's 5-0 after beating a tremendous opponent in UMass this weekend. Other wins for Missouri this year are Central Arkansas, Kansas, Louisiana, and a 9-point win at home over South Carolina. All right, so they're getting ready to, in 2 weeks, they're going to host Alabama. I guess Missouri will be off this week. I don't think it's Missouri. Now, my Ole Miss is probably up there, but I don't think Missouri is. Earl in Madison says, Matt, here's a book that you'll never see hit the shelves. The Art of the 2-Minute Drill by Josh Heupel. Man, what in the world were they doing? I think I touched on it a couple of times there late, the way that you're sitting there with timeouts, strong leg guy, and I'm going like, why would you not use those? That was a gift. Fletcher texts the show. He says, I heard Peter Burns say that Texas A&M is going to start 7-0, and I tell you what, if A&M only scores 16 against State, I'll take the Bulldogs, he says. Yeah, it feels that way, right? You look at Arizona State's defense, Tennessee's defense, it feels like, State has an offense that can score some points. And look, I'll be honest with you, we probably need to go ahead and resolve to have the conversation as the week goes on. The use of Kamario Taylor and the situational use, should it increase? What does he give you when he's in there? What can he do for you to help the team? Because if you're going to be in a situation where you're continually getting more and more beat up on the offensive line, I mean, you lost one starting offensive tackle in the first game. Then others get banged up. Lewis misses some time. He's trying to play while hurt. Reese goes out the other day, leaves the game, doesn't come back. You know what I'm saying? For 3 or 4 weeks now, one of your starting offensive tackles is a guy who didn't even travel to Southern Miss with you. I mean, think about that. Well, and if this is the kind of thing you're going to run into in SEC play against these kind of pass rushers, is that is 4 or 5 times a game, Blake Shapen getting, I'm talking, tattooed in the back of the head. Well, that may necessitate that there's a different approach in some situation. You may have no choice, okay, and to go, we hate it, especially with the downfield threats that we do have, but in certain matchups, we're going to do some other things. Instead of them keeping us off balance with a 4-man pass rush because we can't protect on the edge, we'll keep them off balance a little more often and see if you want to tackle a 230-pounder who can run and is fine to run over you. Really. It's worth talking about. More Bully says, okay, so we got an inadvertent text alert from More Bully. Bama fan texted the show. Matt, this is why the AP makes no sense. He says they ranked Arizona State, who has the same record as Mississippi State at number 25, and Mississippi State beat them head-to-head. It makes no sense. Well, yeah, maybe not, but Bama fan, my take on that is like, I think when it comes to the AP stuff and coaches poll stuff, we all got to lower our expectations a little bit because it just doesn't matter anymore. It maybe mattered a little bit more when there was still only a 4-team playoff, but still you had that. The only rankings that matter at all are the college football playoff rankings when they come out. And frankly, that committee, they're not considering the AP rankings. They don't. It has no bearing on anything. And the fact that me and you and so many other people, as fans, we are sort of drummed up into this mindset of paying attention to AP rankings by the media that we consume. And the media is doing it for artificial reasons because they know. You give them truth serum, they know. The AP and the coaches poll stuff, it's completely and utterly meaningless. It has no bearing on anything. None. And you're sitting here paying attention to a poll that has voters in it that's not even really keeping up with it. We had that example a couple of weeks ago. Remember that? When some team loses and they shot them up the rankings 4 or 5 spots and they interviewed the poor girl who has AP votes in the AP poll, and she's like, well, whatever. It's not that big a deal. Well, I'm like, okay, you're right. It's not. So it's just, Bama fan, what I would say is there is literally no one that matters in the outcome of games and the outcome of the season from a coach, a player, an AD, a president, and the committee members on the playoff committee who will rank their own rankings, none of them are paying attention to an AP ranking. None. Zero. It's strictly a fake thing that is used to drum up TV ratings because, hey, look, more power to them. TV's paying the bills anyway. What do you think, like all this money for revenue share, what do you think that is? Well, that's TV money because television, your television partners are surviving on live sports. They have no other programming that they are surviving with other than live sports. So they'll pay whatever. So in exchange, hey, look, your rankings don't come out until October for this playoff thing. Well, if I'm a TV partner and I'm carrying Alabama and Georgia, I want little bitty numbers by their name. And I don't care if you like it or not. That helps me sell it as a TV thing. I understand their business. That helps me drum it up. But that's all it is, period. Over to the Junction phone line. Fueled by Prince Oil Company. The Junction phone at 897-1059. It's Brando on line 1. What's up, Brando?
Matthew, I thought I got a choo-choo thing when I called. What's going on?
Well, I try to limit it because it drives Beaver crazy. And I care what Beaver thinks. Don't you?
I like that it drives. No, I love that it drives them crazy. That and the Twinkle Toes introduction, those are my two favorite parts.
Of the whole show?
Look, I'm glad to be back from being banned. Look, let me tell you, let me give you just a couple of thoughts, and I want to hear what you got to say.
Okay.
And it's taking off really of what you just said. You stole my thunder. This AP poll's a joke. I don't think Texas deserves to be in the top 10. LSU was a joke. You know I'm an Ole Miss homer, but I'm not the one that thinks that we're going to win the national championship every year since we got Kiffin. MSU played by far the better team out of LSU and Tennessee. LSU lucked up on a Clemson team that is a train wreck. We beat Arkansas and Kentucky, which to me, those are awful wins at this point right now. They're the two worst teams maybe probably in the SEC. So I'm really not even sold on Ole Miss. Chambliss is amazing. He's a freak. I love that Lane found him. Nobody knew about him. But State by far played the better team. And I never watched State games, but I had it on multi-view Saturday. State and Tennessee and Ole Miss and LSU. And I was pulling for you guys, man. I really was. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on my assessment of LSU and Texas not being in the top 10. Love y'all. Have a good day.
Appreciate it, Brando. Well, and see, the thing about it is, all right, was Texas off this week? They were. So I'm trying to look this up here so that I can compare. But all right, you're right. LSU, see, if you go ranking, like that's what I'm saying, Brando. I just felt like it's been a bit of a waste of time. And the older I get, the more I feel like I should be responsible for the time that I do have left and shouldn't waste it when I know I'm wasting it, which is kind of like paying attention to these rankings still before the college football playoff rankings come out. Because so LSU, let's see what, LSU was ranked 4th in the country in that AP deal going into that game, right? According to that particular poll. But what was it based on? Like you said, it was based on going to Clemson in the first game. They won up there in a really ugly, low-scoring game, 17-10. It didn't look like two good teams at all. It's just LSU kind of beat Clemson, beat them 17-10. And then they beat Louisiana Tech. Wasn't that pretty, 23-7. They beat Florida. Not that pretty. Florida's terrible, 20-10. And they beat up on Southeast Louisiana. So it's like, what is it based on? Oh, well, they beat Clemson. Clemson was top 5. Were they? Clemson was top 5 when LSU beat them, according to who? The AP. Again, who has voters who don't know what they're voting, don't pay attention, and bless their heart, they're good-hearted enough that when you call them for an interview to ask them about their weird AP vote, they go, well, I'm not really watching them. It doesn't really matter. Well, at least they realize it, to their credit. So, I mean, there's that. There's LSU. It's not saying LSU's not good. It's just saying Where's this whole hierarchy thing coming from here? All right, you mentioned Texas. Let me see if I can find them on here. I have to go back to last week's game because they were off, or 2 weeks ago because they were off, and I'm just clicking on their name. So 3-1, had to loss to Ohio State. Played good defense against Ohio State. Since then, they beat up on San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. See, now, again, you were sitting there, Brando, saying, I'm not real sold on Ole Miss. Oh, I'm not as sold on Ole Miss. They have wins over Arkansas and Kentucky. Like, so what? Okay. But compared to Texas's resume, I mean, they did. They scored a touchdown against Ohio State. San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. That's it. And open. They were off this week. So resume for resume, compare it to, we're 4 weeks or 5 weeks in, depending on who we're talking about. And with everybody front-loading the non-conference deal, y'all, we are a month away from really knowing that much about all these teams. I mean, at least to Ole Miss's credit, they've had a couple of SEC teams to play. But we're still a month away. I mean, when you're 4 games into a year, like Texas is, 4 games into it, and 3 of them are San Jose, UTEP, and Sam Houston or whatever, what do you know about them? I'm sorry, you just don't know anything about them. We would love to, and we like to. We're trying our best to know something about them. But the reality is we don't know. We don't know anything about them. And to your point, Brando, you know a lot more about State than you do Texas. I mean, you've seen State against 2 pretty decent teams in Arizona State and Tennessee. At least you've seen that. So whatever data points you do have, you know more about State than you do Texas right now. That's for sure. All right, rolling along. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, Matt Wyatt here. Each week on the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast, we talk with the people who live it. Hunters, biologists, game wardens, local celebrities, and storytellers that know Mississippi better than anyone.
Those bass come up there and attack them. You know how mean bass can be there.
You're never going to believe this. Matt Wyatt just talked about your deer on the radio. I said, what did he say? He said, it was Photoshopped. And I said, what?
They don't know anything about hunting. They just have never had that right, that freedom.
Dude, that's us, man. That's what we do. So tune in. Be inspired, and we'll see you outdoors.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille. It's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links, bun size. Look at that right there. Whee! Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. The Junction Deli's, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the
1059.com.
All right, back with you, staying connected to you because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C Spire, customer inspired. Check them out at cspire.com. Sven says that loss was 110% on Kirby Smart. You know, I saw the score, didn't get to really watch it that night. 24-21 wound up being the final. And it's one of those, like, you know, based on the early returns, I kept thinking, man, it's a blowout. It turned out to not be. I mean, it's a 3-point, but it seemed like Alabama dominated the game. And then you look up and it's a 3-point ball game at the end. Let's see. Simpson, 24-38. Boy, he was really efficient, wasn't he? 276. Average a little more than 7, 2 TDs, no picks. As a team, rushed for 117. Georgia really outrushed them in the ball game. And again, you know, you would think, because what Alabama was up 24-14 at halftime, and then they're shut out in the second half. It really makes me want to go back and watch the whole thing over again and kind of see how they were getting that done. Man, Alabama went 13 of 19 on third down against Georgia's defense. How's that even possible to convert 13 of 19 third downs against Georgia's defense? Penalties, you know, let's see, Georgia 6 for 68, Bama 4 for 16. So there's a big difference there too. Alabama held the ball a good bit. No turnovers in the game for Alabama. That was key. Makes me want to go back and watch it. Big, huge. Man, you talk about a place that needed it. Sitting there with one loss already. And a coach that needed it. Just to shut everybody up, man. Steve says, Matt, what happened to Brennan Thompson? Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened, but it was weird. He played. You know, he had a couple catches, and then he had the drop. And at one point, I didn't even notice that they had taken him to the locker room. I was looking down at the sideline to find somebody else with my binoculars, and then he and the trainers come walking into my field of view. So then I looked at him. He was walking fine. And so I don't know what type of injury it was. They took him to the locker room, but it sure didn't appear to be lower body, which, I mean, I guess that would be the good news. Will comments on YouTube, says, Matt, as of this morning, the Cowboys have the #1 offense in terms of yards per game and the number 32, that'd be last, defense in terms of yards per game. They are atrocious on defense. Boy, are they. I mean, they are. How do you get to that point? How do you get to that point? I mean, Dak just made play after play after play after play in that game last night, and it was just not enough because you had no chance. You know, when they scored to Pickens late in that game, it was 40-something seconds. You knew right then, too much time. And they had didn't the Packers have all their timeouts, 40-something seconds in all their timeouts? No shot at stopping them, and everybody knew it. They're lucky to get it into overtime. Boy, they tried to blow it, though. Throwing that ball, and it leaves 1 second. Sven commented, he was telling Moore Bully, he said, State is still a bad football team in rebuild. Levy is the right guy. We're going to get it better. Let's be patient, he says. Regarding visiting fans, Rick says, State was required to give 5,000 tickets minimum to Tennessee. That's about 10% of the seating. Says, I don't think there was too many State fans selling out to Tennessee fans. Well, and I don't know, Rick. I don't know all that. Other people know about that. I think it's more about where they were sitting, what part of the stadium. But, yeah, whatever. It's just another one of that, and, like, uniforms and stuff. It's just another one of those things. A lot of people get into it that, if I'm being honest, I just don't care about it. Whatever. It's not for me to worry about. And then Will. We have not touched on this. Will said, really? He said, Matt, you have any thoughts on Arkansas firing Sam Pittman? Bobby Petrino rides again. Does this make Arkansas more winnable for us? Whether it hurts it or not, I just think at this point in the year, teams are what they are, and they just don't appear to be a very good team. I mean, they do some good things offensively. The quarterback's good. It's explosive there. They can't stop anybody on defense. I mean, the other day when I looked up, and it was 42 to 13 at halftime. Then you knew that deal's over. They're going to be bad embarrassed with that deal. I didn't even have to hear or see any of the way it happened. You just see the score. I mean, I don't know how it happened, but, and at one point I think I checked the score, and it wasn't that bad. And then, bang, halftime 42. Notre Dame 42 in the first half. Good and well they were embarrassed. Airborne Dog texts the show. He says, hey, Matt, 2 things. Loved seeing the fake kick. Been a while. It was refreshing. Second, do you remember a hit like was put on Shapen's fumble that you had? Yeah, I had one year against Alabama. It was actually the year that we won in Tuscaloosa, 97. And Alabama was not a great team that year in 97. We were a lot better than them. And J.J. Johnson had a bunch of touchdown runs. Reggie Kelly had a touchdown catch in that game. But there was a goal line situation where we tried to go 5-man protect and throw something out of the gun, which, as you know, was kind of a departure of what we normally did for those teams back then. And it was one of those where instead of reading to see if we were getting pressure off the edge, I was assuming I was going to throw it quick enough, and so I'm looking to my left, okay, and there's a slip down, and so I pumped and brought the ball back in because the guy slipped down, and by the time I got the ball back to myself, it was a free blitzer off the edge. I didn't check it like I was supposed to, and he just puts his helmet right about there, right about my throat, and boom, and he's full speed. I never saw him coming. The first thing hit the ground was the back of my head way over there. And the only reason I didn't fumble is because it kind of pinned the football to me. But it was different because it wasn't behind my head. It was here. It's just I'm looking the other way. But it was about like that. Yeah, it feels great. Feels great, Airborne. It really does feel great when you're able to get up. You're like, oh, boy, man, that wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. Unnamed texter says KT should be in the game every single short yardage situation. And every time we get inside the 5-yard line, they also have to let him throw it a few times. Yeah. And the few pass attempts that he's had, have put it on film. And I think anybody that scouts State knows, okay, if he's in there, you have to defend the throw because he can't really throw it. And they know that. I think, but what I was saying earlier is, you probably are in a situation going forward. They're doing a lot of really good things. Blake Shapen's doing a lot of really good things. Run game was pretty doggone good the other day. And so, if you continue to stack up offensive line injuries, then you could absolutely see a situation where they have to have conversations about those kinds of things going. The identity may start to shift a little bit based on we can't put guys back here sitting in the pocket. Can't do it. And if you get there, especially against certain teams, certain matchups with other people, and if you get there, you may have to throw change-ups in other ways. And it could be some of the stuff you're alluding to. Yeah, Kenny said, how does the team look regarding injuries, after Saturday? We'll see official reports and that kind of thing at some point because you have injury report in SEC play, right? I just know that. So Thompson leaves the game, doesn't come back. Did not appear to be lower body to me because he ran back out. It's just he didn't go in. So I don't really know there. Manning at safety seemed to be nursing something, ankle, whatever. The big one is Isaac Smith, who left the game, didn't come back in. He's your best defensive player, hands down, period, the end. Probably the best football player on your whole football team, Isaac Smith. So I don't know what that deal is. Certainly, I think has probably been he and Cannon Boone have been your best blockers in the run game, and that's Albert Reese at one tackle. And I don't know what his thing was the other day, but they took him straight to the locker room. He didn't come back in the game. And the replay I saw, it was almost like either when he landed on that play that you scored on, when he was kind of full speed ahead, had to land on the ground when he tried to stop himself from landing, either that, the impact of the ground, or he might have caught like just an inadvertent leg flying around and caught him on the wrist or something. And it looked to me like he had no control over his hand. It's just flopping around like that's the way it looked to me. And so I don't know. I don't know what the prognosis is on those things. I just know that didn't look good. All right, listen. Reaction Monday or Reaction Monday, depending on how you want to say it. And as you know, as you can see, like there's lots of comments on the YouTube live stream to get to. I'll get to those. Lots of texts as well. So Fletcher and Joe and Bama Fan and Denzel and Blair and all y'all coming up next. We got time to get to it before we run out of time today on this Reaction Monday in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau. Go with the home team. Back after this.
We'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's a whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Ogeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. We got that. What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roasted right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and true. Magnolia blend. High Point Roasters coffee, New Albany, Mississippi. It is the best. Single origin from all over the world. Blends that they have come up with over the years are the oldest coffee.
TheZone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt. In the Bureau, I was just reading something there. Somebody's reporting that Dan Mullen is lobbying really hard to get the Arkansas job. What do you think about that? What would you think about that? Let's see. Fletcher texted the show on the Country Pleasing text line. He says, I've been watching State since 1980. John Bond, Greg Plump, Sleepy Floyd, Wayne Madkin, you, Dak Prescott. We have never had the best O-line. It's not Blake's fault. Historically, State has been better with mobile quarterbacks. Heck, even Rocky Felker was very mobile. Well, I'll tell you, Fletcher, yeah, but, you know, I will say the 90s were different. In those years in the 90s with Coach Sherrill coaching, we I don't know. I mean, you know, you never were a program that was – you were always spending more time working on run blocking than you were the kick slide pass protection anyway because you were going to run the ball. But, man, in the 90s, we had some big-time offensive linemen and a bunch of them too. Huge and look, there were even the best teams, some of the best teams in the country would roll up in there and have to – their defensive line – did not look forward to 3.5 to 4 hours of going up against that run game State was throwing out. Go look at 93, 94. I mean, I was still in high school then, but the size of those offensive lines and you having to tackle Michael Davis and Kevin Bowie. You know, after that, it was J.J. Johnson for a couple of years. You had to tackle him. And you had Robert Hicks and Randy Thomas and all those kinds of things. It's big tight ends. So, you know, you had some – I can't necessarily speak because I didn't see it in the 80s. And then, of course, I've seen some of the more modern ones. But in the 90s, man, you had offensive linemen. And a lot of them. You had some really good ones that they had a hard time getting on the field just because you had so many good players. Coach Sherrill knew what he was doing building that team from the inside out, certainly for that era. Possum Neck Joe said Texas is off every week, Matt. Bama fan says regarding third downs, 11 of 13 in the first half. Wow. Said it was a very physical ball game, especially in the second half. I mean, it looked that way. You know, defense is dominating. Alabama was shut out. Georgia scored 1 touchdown in the second half. Looked that way. Denzel says, Beaver, our Yellow Jackets, he's talking about Union, remain undefeated with the cow pasture right beside Lakes football field. I was surprised it didn't stink Friday, but we sucked the air out of the stadium all night long. That's one way to look at it. Blair and Brandon says, he's talking about the Arkansas Notre Dame game. He said it was bad. Arkansas couldn't stop their offense for anything. Then to add insult to injury, Notre Dame runs a fake punt after Arkansas finally had stopped them on third down. I bet that hurt. Kenny Don't Call Me Ken says, did you play both ways in high school? If so, what position did you play or enjoy on defense? Questions a cornerback wants to know. No, not in high school. I was just full-time quarterback in high school. And, I went to a bigger school. Back then, in the early 90s, the highest classification in Alabama was 6A high school. That's what we were at Prattville. It was a pretty good size 6A school, but we played a lot of 6A schools that had more players dressed out and stuff than we did, but we didn't have a ton of guys playing both ways. We had a few, but not a ton that at a school like that. Ronnie, hey Ronnie, check your text there. I can't make sense of it. See if there's a typo, and then hit me back. Over on the YouTube live stream, Sven says Camario did throw touchdowns this year, but put him in step by step and let him learn behind Shapen. Well, he did throw the one off the reverse where he was in the game with Shapen. Yeah. Sven says Georgia's defense is not elite. Will says we ought to petition to make the show 3 hours on Mondays during football season. We used to do a 3-hour show, Will, and man, that's a lot. And what happened was it got to where, really and truly, like if you're going to do a 3-hour radio show in the middle of every day or at any point during any day, you can't be doing other stuff also. And as you know, I got a lot of other things going on too. Yeah, if he's out, I don't know that he is, but Old Tackle says we may miss Albert Reese more than anyone. I'm telling you, like if he's out, if he is, I don't know that he is. Maybe we'll find out soon. I guess we have to find out by what? Wednesday? See, hey, Ronnie, here's what's happening. That text is coming through. That text came through, and all it said is, Matt, Levy hasn't won its last game this season. See, like something's going on with it. It don't make any sense. It makes no sense. So, Ronnie, you had to send it again. I'd like to see what you're saying there. But I think I'm just giving you a heads up. I think typo got you. I think it got you. Yeah, Will, I don't know about the 3-hour thing. That's the only deal. If I did it, I have to give some other stuff up, and I'm not really in a position to do that right now. Vandy, what do y'all think of Vandy? Is Vandy any good? They blew out Utah State. Just blew them out. Look at their offense. 45 against Charleston Southern, 44 against Virginia Tech, 31 against South Carolina. The defense shut South Carolina down. 70 against Georgia State. And 55 and then against Utah State. And now it's Tuscaloosa this week. Okay, I got you, Ronnie. I see it. said Levy isn't done winning his last game yet, meaning he's going to win some more games this year before it's all said and done. Gotcha, Ronnie. That makes sense. So they go. So Vandy goes to Tuscaloosa this weekend. That is really interesting because Vandy's put up all these big numbers. Here comes. Oh, by the way, yeah, Vandy upset Alabama last year. Here comes Alabama back home after beating Georgia, fully confident. The game that it's almost like a game that happened that no one knew it happened except their two fan bases. And that was Kentucky at South Carolina. And South Carolina beat them 35-13. It was like nobody knew that happened except Gamecock fans and Kentucky fans. Who else? Oh, yeah. In case you just tuned in, this was the number that blew me away. Didn't see this game. Saw the score, 16-10, Texas A&M over Auburn. But this was the number that blew me away. Here it is. Auburn in the game. On the road for the SEC team. Hey, how much is Auburn paying Hugh Freeze? How much they paying their players? 177 yards of offense. Total. 0 for 13 on third down. 0 for 2 on fourth down. Good lands. Now, Robbie, our resident Auburn fan here who listens to the show, and we appreciate you. This is not picking on you, but I just got to I have to bring this up. Okay. I just want everybody to think about something for a second. Okay. 1 week after losing on the road at Oklahoma, a huge stink arises about officiating. Oh, they screwed us. They pulled the rug out from under our feet over there. He's sorry, referees. And the league puts out a statement, yeah, that one shouldn't have happened. And then they pile on. Well, there was pass interference here, and they shouldn't have done that. It's all this. I tell you what. And then after all of that, and then John Cohen, the Auburn AD, puts out a statement, which, let me ask y'all something. Raise your hand if you needed a statement from John Cohen about it after the league had already done it. Okay, you didn't. Neither did I. Put out a statement, officiating, whatever. We're not pleased. We've made our... And go on, follow that up by going on the road to Texas A&M, going 0 for 13 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down, and pile up 177 total yards of offense. A grand total of 52 yards rushing with a running quarterback. In other words, just shut up. Would you? Don't be complaining about any more officiating, okay? All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow. See ya!